actually realize the scenes in the flesh and then animate from that was very important, I think, because it gives it a reality that's not made in the head, it's made in a concrete way. I mean, those scenes are made, and then they're sweetened and abstracted rather than a bunch of people, you know, on a computer working with something much more abstractly, made more from just from the head.
At what point did you finally get to see your full visualization? Was it on a trailer, or was it, where did you?
Very late, because the process is very, it's very complicated. And I think once they actually build the creature, build the character, and then start putting all the impulses onto it, then it goes a lot faster. But the actual development of the movement it takes a long time. I saw it quite late. I will say at the beginning, when we first started practicing with stilts and things, they, half for the animators and half for us, they roughed in some things so we could see roughly what the characters could look like, because they had things that would correspond to, we could see it immediately.
Yeah.
Like we were walking around on the stilts and we'd move our hands, we'd see what it would look like. Stretched to 9 feet.
Now, Lynn talked about having trouble with the fact that your head was down here, but the head of your character was way up here when you were on the stilts.
That was quite rare, though, because almost always we were on stilts, so the relationship was right. Occasionally, because of, like, if you had to run, or there was track, or there was some reason you couldn't, or the terrain was very complicated. Yeah, there were a couple times. But she was spoiled, because normally you'd have to do that all the time. Be fixing, hearing a voice from somewhere and be fixing your gaze someplace else.
So you didn't have to run on stilts?
I did, actually.
Really?
Some,
How did you develop the physicality of the character?
The nice thing is you have all these technical responsibilities and things, thrown at you, and you decide very quickly to turn them into assets rather than liabilities, and rather than seeing them as obstacles, you see them as opportunities. So you just deal with it. You try to get graceful, and of course, it's great because you can't access your regular physicality. Somewhere it's deeply in there, but it's changed so radically that it's a new way of moving, a new way of thinking, a new way of talking, and that's a place an actor wants to be, if you ask me. I mean, that's not denying that it comes from you, but it's filtered through so many things that you have a kind of newness and a kind of discovery and a kind of pleasure in the ability to be transformed. So it's a slow process. Sometimes it's more fluid than others. As we said, with each scene, sometimes we would have to figure very complicated solutions. I have 4 arms, for example. I have 2 arms. So sometimes when we wanted to do an action where these are working, and then I pass this down to there, and then this arm takes something, we had to devise a solution. And that was usually a stunt guy behind you, dressed in green, so they could erase him out, and you'd work out this business. So it was all problem solving and practical, but fun, because it's you don't feel like yourself, so that becomes kind of the key and the introduction into a new world. So yeah, it's a good feeling of adventure.
Yeah. There seems to be like a lack of respect for performance capture, sort of in the critical community. Like everybody's talking about Andy Serkis and his performance.
Yep.
And somebody who is very well respected for their acting. How do you think? Do you think that's going to change now that you've had this full-on performance capture?
I don't know. It depends. Because I think some people will see the value of it. Some people will dismiss it depending on their sensitivity. Yeah, I don't know. One of the reasons why I'm attracted to it, sometimes I don't even think of myself as an actor. I think of a guy that likes to make things, and I'm the one in front of the camera. So maybe it comes from being a theater actor. I like doing this motion capture stuff. It's not what I want to do all the time, but I find it interesting, and kind of in how I described, the pleasure of turning these ridiculous technical things into opportunities.
So much performance capture is usually done on a soundstage in a very sort of greenhouse environment. You were doing it on location as well. So
Mostly.
I saw the gray jumpsuit you were wearing.
Yeah, beauty.
Yeah. Well, how would being on location, how did that change or affect how you were doing what you were doing?
Oh, you control less. A nice wind comes or a sandstorm comes. It's another consideration. But also, that's the fun of shooting on location. You get unexpected things thrown at you, but that informs the scene, and sometimes it can be more exciting. It feels less like studio work.
What did it take to sort of get yourself together for this logistically, not in the performance, like the stilts, the green suit thing? Like, what kind of how early did you have to get up? How long did it take to sort of?
Funny enough, not that long.
Okay.
Because as far as makeup, they have a molded mask that they put on you with all these holes in, and a makeup artist just fills those holes in. Those are references. So, like when you smile, they can marry that to the form. And then you dress in this, kind of sweatsuit thing. And then when you get close, you strap on those stilts and strap on the helmet and strap on the big battery pack for the head cam. Actually, very little prep time. I mean, for a guy that I did one movie where, it was 4 hours in, 4 hours out of makeup. The Shadow of the Vampire, this felt like nothing each day.
When you're playing a character who's going to be animated, do you have to exaggerate your acting more, or is it?
I don't think so. I think you're just, it's like if you take my arms away, my legs a bit stronger. Everything is filtered more into one aspect of performing. So maybe it gives the impression that you're doing more, but the truth is that everything is filtered through this one aspect, which makes it sometimes really interesting because you can feel the movement of things on my end. You can feel what you're doing. Your intention is very clear because it's there's only like one track that you're using.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Willem.
Okay, bye-bye.